Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen here with life coach Linda Armstrong. Today is Friday. Happy Friday, May 3rd, 2019. It is 4 p.m. in New York, 1 p.m. in Los Angeles. It's 9 p.m. in London. Sydney, Australia is at 6 a.m. But wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And I am happy that we are live streaming again after a week of not being able to live stream with all the different issues that Zoom was giving us. Linda, I actually got Zoom to the point where it was working again, but I also realized I didn't want to be kind of held hostage to, was it going to work? Was it not going to work? So I went out and found another solution, and we're using that other solution today. So today's kind of an experiment, see if it works as well as I think it's going to work. I have done some testing, but, it's kind of fun trying to learn new stuff. And,
all right.
And that's the way I'm trying to have fun doing it rather than getting freaked out about it. Cause I can go the other way really, really easily,
Well, and that only comes because we want the answers and we don't have them yet.
Exactly.
That's all it is.
That's exactly what happens.
But now this doesn't show anything about streaming. So I wouldn't see that, but you see that, right?
Right. Yeah. And that's the one drawback is that it doesn't actually tell us, hey, we are now streaming. So, I'll have to make it a point to let you guys know, okay, I'm pushing the streaming button now. So we're going to go live. Right. I forgot that it doesn't do that. That's what's a good point. So, hopefully people are going to be able to find us, through the links on social media because we've been kind of off the live streaming air, so to speak, for the last few days. But we know people have been trying. People have been trying desperately to hook in. So that's a good thing. And,
okay.
Hopefully find a way, but I left as many cookies in the trail as I could possibly leave. So all I have to do is just click the right cookie and they'll be here. And I figured, we should probably do something I thought that we haven't done pretty much since you first came on board, because you are an energy coach and you have a number of different, certifications and lots of experience and all that kind of thing. And I was thinking we ought to go back to basics and just kind of talk about that for a little bit. I feel like this time my questions will probably be a little bit more educated than the first time.
Hopefully I have educated answers for you.
Yeah, there you go. And if we do get people into the live stream who have questions, then maybe they can ask us questions. And let's just turn it into the topic for the day. So I won't go into what we originally talked about, which was how you got into it, but let's just talk about what energy work is. Let's kind of define our terms a little bit. What is energy work? When you get a client who comes to you to do some energy work, what are they asking for and what are you giving to them?
Well, when they're coming to me, they're asking to release energetic patterns and programs, beliefs, that experience that doesn't support them anymore, that doesn't serve them, that they may not are even consciously aware of, but I'm able to tap into their energy and receive guidance as to where to go. Now, a lot of times, people have a pretty good idea what it is that's been going on or what they think it is. And so, so that's like where I start from. So it could be, like a lot of people live in the past. So if you're just constant and you want to move forward, but you're still holding on, may not realize how much energy you still have connected to that past experience, because we're connected to everything. Energy, everything's energy and everything has connections. So especially when it comes to events, good or bad, we can have really good energy connections or really bad energy connections. So if you've had some traumatic experiences, you could be carrying them with you everywhere you go.
And we often don't know, do we? I mean, a lot of people really don't know that they're carrying stuff.
They don't realize it, but one sure tell sign is they're always talking about all the crap that happened to them in their life.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're carrying that, that's pretty openly carrying that out. But then there are people, like most of the times when people come to me, they're already aware of this kind of a thing, but they just can't seem to get past something, and they haven't really quite figured out what it is, because they're like, I think I cleared that, and I know I had this problem with this person, but I think we're over that. And, so then I kind of have to, track the energy and see what's the real issue, like what's the underlying issue. because everything is energy.
Yeah.
And everything that we experience, the good, bad, and ugly, is energetically linked into our system, right? So when you see things that aren't going right in the outer world, there's stuff on the inner world that is creating that. So what I would do then is, locate that and clear it.
And there are a lot of different techniques. I'm becoming aware of that, partly a lot from talking with you, partly because Bill G came on. He does the SRT method. And I'm getting a sense there's a lot of different modalities, a lot of different processes for clearing energy, especially energy that's kind of getting in our way.
There's a lot. And thank God there is, right? Thank you. And it's funny because that you bring this up today, but I just put out like 2 videos this week. One was the May energy update. And for me, what I'm tapping into is the time is now. So like things that you want to do or you've been wanting to do and you're putting it off, or you're thinking something's about to happen. Yeah, it is. There's big shifts in energy and the time is now. And the video I shot right before I did the energy update, I was talking about how, the title is, Are You an Energy Healer? And what I talk about basically in that video is that we're all energy healers in some way. We're all healers in some way, because it's pretty much everyone's nature, even those you don't think, to want to help people.
That's true. In fact, people try very hard on social media to help people. There's a lot of that goes on.
Yeah. Well, and even people you might consider evil, some part of them wants to help someone in their family or something somewhere, right? Maybe they're misguided as to how to live their life, but there is that part, because we're all connected, right? And if we're all connected and if we're all a part of that one source energy, however you want to look at that, then if I'm a healer, you're a healer. Like we're all reflections of each other, right? It's just some people tap into it. Some people have an interest and a desire to take it in a further into a bigger way, like into their life, maybe as a profession like I do. But other people just want to help people. So they'll do, nice things, or they'll be the person who will be the ear or the shoulder to cry on for somebody else. That's all helping that person in their healing. So the way I look at it, we're all energy healers, and we can all be energy healers, like in the way I am. And I like that you, point out there's so many modalities, because there are so many modalities. People finding ways, either things that have been around a long time or new things that are coming in that help people to do better in their life. Because, there's a lot of light coming onto the planet. The planet's shifting. We're all shifting. Everything's growing into more light. Light is love. Love is healing energy. So, I like that there's a lot of modalities, because, some people will resonate with some and not with others. Just like the clients, they'll come to me because something about the way I do it, they're drawn to. And if they're not, then there's someone else there that does something different that they could be drawn to get help. And since there is so much light coming into the planet, there's probably going to be even more and more ways of healing. So I've been trained in a lot of things, but I kind of just go with however it feels it wants to come. Like I don't stick by the rules for anything, because I don't know that there are any rules. I just follow the guidance that comes. You
kind of answered the question I was about to ask, which is how do you pick which process that you do? And you just answered it.
What resonates with you. Like I know for the modalities that I do, I was just drawn to have to learn about them. I just had to do these courses. I didn't have to do a different kind of course. I had to do these courses. Because there are a lot of different things you can do out there, and different ways in which you can heal people.
You find that these courses, and obviously I'm kind of drawing like a broad brush here, but in general, when you came to these courses, did you find that you were doing them in part because you were being motivated to help yourself in some way that you didn't know about? Or was it almost always because you found after the fact that you had been drawn into doing something that would really be helpful to clients? I mean, was it more about what you learned from it, or was it more about what you were able to do for the clients, or is that just an arbitrary distinction that I'm drawing?
Well, I've kind of just walked into each thing I did. So first I was in the, Law of Attraction Coaching Academy, like it was a year-long course. And then there was this meditation course that kind of came to me when it wasn't supposed to, halfway through the year, that I signed up for. I've told you this story before, but then I was just like, okay, meditation, law of attraction coaching. And the thing that brought me to the whole thing anyway was the tear in my rotator cuff, which I wind up healing through the meditation I learned in the meditation course. I still have no idea I'm going to be doing healing work. Then I'm taking this whole year-long energy mastery course, still not thinking about healing, just more about coaching, by helping through that, through coaching, which is healing, but, not through any kind of a healing modality. And then I get some kind of, the word Reiki pops in, because one of the teachers from the academy where I did my law of attraction coaching was offering a course, and I just had to do it. I didn't even know what Reiki was. I had no clue. I'm telling you, no clue. And so, I'm like, I have to take your course. What is it? And she goes, well, I'm going to be doing a webinar about it. You'll find all about it. I'm like, yeah, but what is it? Like, I have to do it. And then I tell her, I'm like, and something weird's happening. I have like, it feels like energy's bubbling out of my hands, right? This was happening to me before I even got in the class. Something was activating. And she's like, oh yes, you're right on line with this. You're going to love it. So like, I sign up. This is Reiki. It's healing energy. And it was already coming through before I even got attuned to it or anything else. And then, then I'm doing Reiki, and then I'm helping someone, and they mentioned this guy coming from Israel who's teaching some kind of healing modality. And she said the word, the gate. It's called the gate. I'm like, really? Okay, I got to do it. What is it? Right? So like, it just drew me. Now, meanwhile, I had heard of theta healing. Now and then it popped in. I think Christy Whitman mentioned it once. And then my teacher of the gate, and then some other woman from England that I just did a session with her, right? She was doing theta healing. I'm like, what the heck? I think I have to do that. And then next thing you know, I'm going to New York City every day taking theta healing courses at the Theta Healing NYC. So it just evolves, like it just called to me. Other things haven't, like I know about so many other modalities, but I don't feel like I have to learn them. Oh, and then the reactivation with Dr. Eric Pearl. It's called the reconnection. So he does this reconnection modality, which just brings in pretty much healers in spirit, basically, that come in and they work, and you're just feeling the energy while you're working with someone. It's like I kind of blend them all, however it wants to come through, but I wasn't looking for that either. It just showed up on my radar somehow, and I had this pull to have to know more.
I mean, that's the common theme in every one of those stories you just told. It was always, it was introduced to you. You didn't know what it was. He said, I want to sign up for it. I don't even know what it is. Tell me what this is as I'm signing up. That's an interesting theme. I mean, that's very similar to the way that you deal with your clients, how you just, whatever, that's what you go with.
And what's even better is that it proved to me how I'm always being guided. That's a lot of stuff that I teach too, is that we have this guidance in spirit that is helping us, right? And I've seen it so many times, and now I just can recognize it when it comes in, and I can ask for it, and I can notice the answer might come through to me. I don't have to hear it like, do this. No, but somehow the answer comes, right? That we can talk about many different signs. We do that. We've been talking about that many times. Right. So yeah, I don't know. Does that answer what we were talking about? So anyway, this video was, are you a healer? I'm like, yes, you are. Everybody's a healer, So funny that you want to bring this up today. I don't know if you've seen the videos were out there, but that's kind of what's been on my radar anyway.
actually kind of interesting because it seems like whenever I come up with a topic, sometimes we just don't even have a topic, so we just kind of go with stuff. But on those occasions where I have a topic, you say, "Oh, I just did a video on this." It's like an ongoing theme, and I'm really honest, not checking. I'm not looking at the channel to see what did Linda do this week. I'll just bring that up as a topic. No, it's just
right.
I just seem to be getting it.
And that, there you go, proves it to you right there. It's in the field. Yeah. You know, it's funny. A little example, right? I text my sister-in-law because they're moving, and she's said, "I got this desk. Do you need a desk?" Oh, yeah, my husband could use a desk. Yeah, send me a picture. And she didn't do it. That was like from a week and a half ago. So yesterday I text her. I'm texting her, "Lisa, why don't you show me a picture of that desk? I'll let you know if I want it or not." Instantly, a picture of the desk comes in. She goes, "Oh my God." Her son is Chase. Chase just sent me this picture just now. I'm like, it's in the field. Great. It's in the field, you know? So when you notice that more and more, it happens a lot, but people just don't even put it together.
Well, it's so subtle. I mean, I can honestly say it's so subtle that it's so easy to overlook, because how would I actually think of that as being, you know, that like guidance or something like that? It's just like, oh, this is just what I did. That's all. Yeah. How is that a guidance?
But I like the way you say subtle, because it is subtle energy. You just start to attune to it. You start to feel it. You start to sense it. And when you notice, because there's no coincidences. And that's another thing with so much this month of May, with all this light coming in, be prepared to be like coincidences, hyperspeed.
Really?
Yeah, pay attention to it. Everyone, whoever's watching this, pay attention to it. Yeah, so that was an example right there. But, you know, I never think to write them down, and I don't always like keep a catalog because they just happen all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be making notes all day long, really.
But if you're new to it and you want to kind of know that it's real, write them down. It's talking to your phone. Oh, wow, that was a coincidence. Boom. You know? Mm-hmm. Like if I'm driving and I have a thought, and I'll talk it into my phone so I don't forget about it.
Right. Yeah. That's pretty cool. I'm glad to see that Jeffrey was one of the people who was trying to get into our live streams and couldn't get in successfully, or if he did get in, he wasn't able to get to the chat section. I think we got that issue resolved because he is now chatting. So
okay, good.
That's a double confirmation, because there were actually two issues we were trying to deal with. One was getting the live stream to work, and the other one was getting the chat function to work so that people could easily engage in that. And it looks like both of those are now working. So this is a happy day.
Yay. All right. Welcome, Jeffrey.
Live stream. Feel free to, chime in with any kind of questions or comments that you have, and we'll be glad to incorporate them into the discussion as we talk about energy. And, one of the things that you've taught me is how you can feel energy. And I remember the first time that I felt it was when we did that. You gave me like a sample session, like what you do with a client. And we did that as a show one time. And he said, "Okay, I'm going to come to you." I said, "Okay." And then you came to me like, "Whoa, wait a minute. What was that?" It wasn't subtle at all. There was nothing subtle about that energy. It was like, whoa, that was really, really strong. So. And
what's funny is you thought you couldn't sense energy.
I really did. Yeah. That's what I mean. It surprised me that it would be.
Not everybody.
I was expecting, because you kept telling me subtle. Okay. And then, oh no, that's not subtle. That's real strong. Yeah. Wow.
You actually sense energy pretty easily. Not everybody feels it that easily, but they'll feel the energy. Because really, I mean, that's the thing with like, I guess any healing, but with theta healing, we bring ourselves into that theta brainwave. And as I go into that energy, the people that I'm working with go into that energy too. You know? And you could feel it.
It's amazing to me that you can, because literally you're the one who kind of guided me there, and I don't really know how I got there other than, well, Linda helped me get there. And if I were to ask you, you can't really tell me. It's not like you pushed the button and now Walt was connected. It wasn't like that.
No,
it's a hard thing.
Because Walt was already connected. He just didn't know it.
This is true. Yeah. Learning about what's already happening, what's already there.
Most of the sessions I give are online, just like this, and the people I'm working with feel the energy, and I could feel, a lot of times I could feel what's going on with them. Like, oh, what's going on in your heart center right now? Do you have like a pressure? I'm like, oh my God, yes. because I work off of what, reactions that come up in the body, as resistance, depending on how I'm working. And then we clear that. So sometimes people don't tell me. I'm like, make sure you tell me if you feel something other than where we started at neutral, right? And so I'm like, okay, is there something going on in your right ear? And they're like, oh yeah, and when did that start? Oh, that was like about 5 minutes ago. I'm like, oh. Those are they don't realize it because they're not really thinking, oh, that little sensation in that ear is like something.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the same thing as not noticing the synchronicities. I mean, because they happen so easily and they just flip by so fast. It's like, well, why should I make note of that?
Yeah.
Things happen in life. That seems to be like the feeling
right.
of it.
But the nice thing is in a healing session, once they start to realize it and they're like, because it'll be like, a headache just turns on. Just because they said a certain phrase of what they want to manifest in their life or whatever it is, there's resistance, something happens in the body. And, and then I do some clearing and then it's gone. And they're like, wow. So when you experience that, it's almost like and you really get into this. It's like, yeah, okay, come bring it on. You want the stuff to come up so we can, it's like muscle testing. So if I tell someone, okay, let me test you for, I love myself. And they're like afraid to do it. Or if it comes up as a no, they're like, oh, no, it's gotta be a yes. No, it's gotta be a yes. Right? But,
I know that feeling.
But the thing is, yay, it's a no. Let's fix it. We want to find the things that are holding you back. So I'm digging for programs, patterns, different things that because we can clear it. So you want to find those things. So then once they get in the groove, and then it doesn't surprise them anymore. Or, they're like, they think something is like, okay, I'm afraid of elevators. I don't know, whatever. It's not a good example. And instead of getting a yes, they get a no. Like, no, but I am afraid of elevators. Because it's not the elevator you're afraid of, it's something else. So let's dig and find it.
Yeah. I mean, the one that happened with me was, I was afraid that something like if money came into my life, I'd be killed or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but it was something along that line. Right. And I remember you muscle tested me on it, and I produced the result. Yes, that's what it was. And my mind boggled. It wasn't just that I was surprised. My mind boggled at that because I couldn't even begin to imagine how that could have been happening. How it could have been true. I couldn't remember anything. Nothing came to my mind that said, oh yeah, I can remember a time when that happened.
Because a lot of it has happened in other times.
That alone is a hard concept sometimes. That was a little bit tricky for me too. I mean, I have come more to be respectful of it and to understand it to some degree and to accept that, yeah, it really is there. But that's still a little bit strange. I mean, how can something from our past life?
If this is an infinite universe, why do we have one life?
Yeah.
It's one way you can look at it, like once you start coming along to that kind of an understanding that there's more, why would there be one life? And then you come across, so I guess you kind of have to experience it for yourself when you actually are going through some kind of a memory of something that didn't happen as far as I know in this life, but you feel it like so real. You feel the emotion attached to it. Yeah. You could see in your mind's eye stuff that's going on. And it's like, well, where'd that come from? I'm not putting that picture in your head, It makes you think, oh, well, I guess I may have experienced that somewhere at some point.
In my case, I mean, the example that I gave about the fear of being killed for having money, when you said that question and I gave that response, my mind was literally blank. I mean, like there was no image at all in there. So that's why, for me, it was just shock. How could that be? I don't have any sense of it. I don't have any memory of it. I don't have any feel for it. How could that actually be there? Yeah, and yet that's what the test.
You wouldn't have that. It wouldn't just be there, the memory. You'd have to be kind of taken back to it.
So like a regression kind of a thing.
Yeah, like a regression.
Okay.
I mean, but sometimes things will just pop in and you're like, what the heck was that? And it could feel real, or it could be a dream or something. It could come to you in other ways, or someone can take you through a process that opens you up to be able to see more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I've never thought that we were the only planet with life. I mean,
Yeah, that does. I agree.
Look at all those planets out there, right? We're the only ones with life. But when I say that sentence now, that why would we only have one life? I mean, it seems so normal. Like, really, like, why would we only have one life?
It makes sense to me. I mean, when you consider just from a scientific, a physics and astrophysics point of view, you have billions of stars in a galaxy and you have billions of galaxies. I mean, somewhere in there's got to be another planet that's able to sustain life like Earth does. I mean, there's got to be at least one. There's probably billions of them. There's probably tons of them. But yeah, it seems like a mathematical insanity for there to be only one life. Only one planet.
And then there are the, what do they call them? The quantum physicists. Mm-hmm. And it, like, in these, I don't even think it's a concept anymore that all time exists at the same time.
Yes,
right. Okay, let's go there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So me being born exists right now with me right here, exists with me passing away, exists with me living on another planet, and so a lot of times we track down experience that happened another time. It doesn't mean it's not happening all at the same time. This is really fun stuff too. Or like, and then they, doppelganger, right? Or like these, Bizarro World of Seinfeld, when they had the exact opposite people they ran into, like, as if it's from another world.
Yeah.
Like, well, why not? Anything's possible.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's why that's what's really cool about manifesting though. So if I have been all these different things, and I have all these different lives, why don't I just tap into the energy of when I've been whatever, a multimillionaire? I've probably been it. I'm probably doing that on some other planet somewhere. So why don't I just energetically hook into the energy of that and what that feels like so that I can call that forward and assist me into stepping into that in my present time reality. So it's just being creative, right?
That makes sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just being creative. And you know what? This is my favorite thing I say to these days is, if I'm crazy, I love my crazy.
Yeah, sure.
Much better than somebody else's crazy who thinks, life sucks and everybody's an asshole and, everybody's out to get me. Like, to me, you could have that crazy if that's what you want, but I choose not to,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if I'm going to choose a crazy, I'll choose one along the lines that you're crazy about, because that's much more pleasant. You might as well be crazy and be happy at the same time.
If my crazy uplifts people, and if my crazy makes me feel better, and and I can, so why not do that?
Yeah.
But I've actually done past lots of different regressions, and even, where I've totally know that what I was seeing. And even I did this like early before I even realized what it was. I'm like, but that was so real. It blew my mind. Like, I couldn't let it go because I was there. Like, once I remembered it, I remembered it. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like I had to be, what was I thinking? What was that feeling I had the other day? No, it's like, it's a part of me. I just revisited it and now I own it again. So that's maybe a way that you can kind of determine what's real or not. It's really by how does it feel? Does it feel real? Mm-hmm. Is it possible that could have happened? Yeah.
Okay. When you get a client who comes to you and they're asking for help to clear something, I mean, we're talking here about things like, stuff attached to other lives or past lives or that kind of thing. But I would imagine there are probably also people who come to you who are dealing with very definite present life stuff. Because somebody who's dealing with something that is really rough on some level, like an addiction of some kind. That's somebody who they'll go to a therapist, they'll go to a life coach, they'll go to somebody like you, an energy coach. They're going to try to find whatever they can in order to basically remove that pain. And if they also are interested in something like the law of attraction, they want to be able to get into a good feeling place so they can start attracting what they want. So it becomes really important to get that kind of a pain out of the way. Now, is it different for you when you're dealing with somebody like that from somebody who's, say, trying to deal with a past life thing?
For me, the past life stuff, I don't always bring that up, and we don't always have to visit it because it doesn't, with the work I do, it doesn't matter the details. The resistance comes up in the body. We do some clearings. It goes. We don't have, that's why I like what the work I do. We don't have to know the story. We just want to track the energy and release it. But so say someone maybe with addiction or something like that, there's experience that happened in they're very aware of in this life that they can kind of think has something to do with it. And that's the starting point. But, I don't really work with people with addiction, but there's going to be some underlying stuff in there as well. Yeah. And it doesn't matter to me as far as what I do. It doesn't matter if it's happened when I was 20 in this lifetime or if it happened another time. All we know is that there's this energy that's attached to this way of thinking or this belief or this pattern, some kind of program, and we can clear it. We don't have to know the details.
So from your perspective as a healer, as an energy expert, so to speak, you don't really care so much what the question is or what the request is because you're just going to go in and dive in and see what the energy shows you.
No, I care about whatever it is that's going on for them because that's where we start. That's the issue. That's what we're working on. And one thing and it's funny because people will come to you for certain things for a while and then it's like spirit brings me another kind of thing to work on. These days, I seem to have a lot of people who actually want to get into helping in a healing manner, helping people, uplifting people, whether it's personal development of some sort or actual energy healing. I get a lot of people that want to do that, but maybe don't think they're good enough or they afraid to let that part of them out for people to be seen. They're afraid to be seen for that. That's a big thing with healers. Why? Because we've been killed for it. Right? Burned at the stake, stoned, who knows, right? Chased down, hunted, for being you, for doing your stuff.
Right. Right. Yeah. And I can understand that.
Because it wasn't understood. So, yeah. And just even stuff from, whatever you lived in this time, that who knows what people you had that made you feel small, like you'll never accomplish anything. That's all just programs that were dumped on you, right? We can clear it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. While we were talking there. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Let's say like anxiety. I have some people who've, had really bad anxiety. But once we start clearing away stuff and they start empowering themselves or even understanding how that might come in, because a lot of the people, at least the ones that come to me, are very empathic and don't realize they're taking on so much stuff that a lot of it isn't even their own, So when you learn how to manage your own energy, besides all the clearing of stuff, then you can move through the world without all that anxiety.
I'm going to guess that kind of happens a lot, taking on other people's stuff, other people's energy and not realizing it. If
you're empathic, yeah. If you don't know you're empathic, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Everybody's empathic to some degree, but some, are more than others. Healers are usually pretty empathic. And so, you need to learn how to, hold your own energy.
Yep.
Without taking on your client's energy.
Right. Yeah. While we were talking, Jeffrey had asked, can we have a guided meditation for that sometime? And I said, regarding what? He says, tapping into the feeling of being a multimillionaire just for fun. You like the idea of your millionaire alter ego there.
You could probably make one up.
He also said, I work with people with addictions. We work with what we know.
Yeah.
Does that resonates, doesn't it?
Well, you got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, Jeffrey, if you have any other things that you want us to address directly, bring it in. And anybody else watching too, because I see other people are filtering in. Well, feel free to jump in with a question or a comment. We'll be glad to incorporate it.
So what? I've got this deck here. The answer is simple.
You just anticipated my next question.
Oh, what was it?
My next question, it's kind of like a general coverage of the energy work that you do. And I was going to say, one of the things that you do a lot of is angel cards and so forth. You bring that in. And yeah. I had two questions associated with it. One was, how did you get into that in the first place? Why angel cards, or why those kinds of cards? And second, how do they actually tie into what you do when you're working with clients?
I guess I got into them because they're fun.
Oh, okay.
But what's the most fun about it is that they usually are spot on or will indicate something that's going on or about to be going on. And so that can be kind of addictive. You're like, you know, when you're surprised by what comes through in a card and you're like, how could that be? It opens up the possibilities and it creates more of that kind of like a mystery of like, wow, there's really something out there, or some like, how did that card come up? Mm-hmm. You know? And, so I have an online group that I do with a couple of people. It's like a coaching meditation kind of thing, and healing. I combine all three, and I'll do card reading in the beginning, and the cards are always spot on for what's going on with the people in the group. It cool. Just always is. Yeah. So, and when it feels, when it seems like it's not, when you've done it enough, and especially my groups are like, okay, we better be on the lookout for that one because it came up for a reason. Yeah.
So it becomes actually a guide. It becomes a sign. If it's not an object's connection, you know.
There's a lot of readers on YouTube. You can find some really good ones that read tarot and they read, you know, oracle cards.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to split the deck. We'll see whatever wants to come up.
And I remember you told us also that people can do this kind of thing just with apps. There are apps that are available that can give them cards.
All right. I got 2 cards by mistake. Never a mistake.
Oh. Okay.
Never a mistake, right? Why did 2 come? Because I guess these 2 cards need to be read. And then like, and you're like, I'm not a tarot reader. You know, I don't even want to learn because it seems like a lot to learn, and I don't know, my brain can hold it all.
I hear you there.
Right? So where did I do my little glasses? Let me find them. So I'll just read from the book, and then I'll get whatever I get along with whatever the book says. Mm-hmm. But I personally like to read what was intended by the card, the way it was written, because, maybe there's someone who's not resonating with the way I'm taking it, so they can find their own way to take it.
Oh, right? Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Because I have one person who goes, but I don't want to read from the card if I'm doing this with people. I'm like, why not? Why not? I've never had any complaints. Mm-hmm. You know, the messages are always right. I said, and you're going to put your own interpretation in on there anyway. But look, right. Ooh, and wow, my ear's going funky all of a sudden. Talk to God.
Ooh.
Number 11.
Okay.
I don't know what went on with that. Something was resonating there. Okay. So yeah. Number 11. Talk to God. All right. So you want to know what it says?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pins and needles here.
Okay. So the answer is simple. Talk to God. It says, stop talking to your ego. That's it. I've been doing a lot of stuff on ego versus soul, because the ego is going to be the fear-based thoughts and dictating how awful everything is and fear this and don't do that, right? But your soul is like, no, it's easy. We do these things with joy and peace and love, right? So of course, God is love, right?
Of course.
So stop talking to your ego. It only confuses you and makes you fearful. Besides, its advice is terrible and never brings the results it promises.
You would think we would notice that by now, wouldn't you? But you're right. The card is right. That's exactly true.
And I couldn't have said that any better. So I like reading from the book.
I hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
It says, converse with God instead. Instruct your ego to be quiet and allow spirit to have a heart-to-heart with the loving creator. So me, I'm like, listen, talk to the hand. I'm not paying any attention to you. I'm going this way. For me, it's always, on the left and on the right.
Okay.
So, it says, ask the divine for direction. Listen with your spirit in the very center of your heart, and don't permit your ego to interrupt. So really, it's all, you hear people talking about that all the time. You just want to drop into your heart. I like, Liz Garcia, she was on your show that one time.
Right.
What she does is she'll say, what would my heart do? What would love do? What would love do? So if you can ask that simple question, it'll take you out of because you have to feel then. You have to feel it with your own heart instead of that fear that's coming up in the brain, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. Listen with your spirit in the very center of your heart. Don't permit your ego to interrupt. God is available at any time and in fact has been waiting to hear from you. The real, authentic, divine, lovable, and lovely spirit you. Tell God what you need and expect guidance and support. Your creator loves your spirit and wants you to be happy, even though your ego has been telling you otherwise, and your spirit loves your creator and wants the same. So it's only your ego that causes problems. So stop talking to it and start talking to God. There you'll find your answers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's always really, it's very important. I guess I got to do more, got to figure out why this is coming up a lot in just about everything I do these days, because I had to really, I think I'm like 90% there where I don't get tricked too much by the ego anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, that's good.
But when it comes up, I know what it is. And it's my choice if I'm going to stay stuck in it or if I'm going to move out of it, right?
Well, yeah.
But the ego's very smart. Like it can be a trickster and it can work its way in even when you think, no, I got this down. I know the difference between that and that. It can creep in. And sometimes it takes someone else to say, you're in your ego. You're like, I'm not. No way. Yes, you are. I've had that told to me before. So anyway. Okay. And the other one, let's just go with it. Stick with it. Number 4. Oh, look at that. We also not only picked an 11 and a 44, like master numbers.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So stick with it. Number 44. All right. So it says, as you wake up your spirit and begin to live in the higher frequency of love, the ego becomes confused and wants to resist.
We have a theme going here, folks.
This new energy displaces the ego's power and renders it impotent. So it tries to reverse and arrest the changes. I'm telling you, this is where that trickster comes in, right? It finds its way. Mm-hmm. And then it's up to you to notice that. So it says, be aware of your ego's resistance and stay true to your spirit anyway. Ignore inner ego dialogue that suggests you're wasting your time and thus tries to discourage your efforts. Changing your vibration to a higher level and being able to consistently hold it takes patience, practice, and discipline. Yep. Stick with your determination to live your spirit, to be as you are, your true self, your spirit, not that mind part of you, right? Mm-hmm. Remain faithful to what you love and what you believe in and what reflects your authentic self. Although you may not see instant results, you can feel the change within your cells as you bring more light and love into your being. I'm getting goosebumps the whole time saying that. So stick with your higher intentions and soon you'll witness the effects in your world. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, very definite parallel between those two cards. Not a parallel, it's a connection. It's a strong connection because they're both directly talking about ego.
Yeah, and you know what else is coming to me too is that, especially with all that, there's a huge awakening going on, and more light is coming. More people are awakening, right? Mm-hmm. So, but when you first step into that process, and you listen to people like me, you think you're going crazy. There's something not this, because that part of that ego mind is like, no, listen, that's not right. That's not the way it is. This is the way it is. That's what this made me think of too, is that because there's a lot of people awakening. There's more and more light coming in all the time. More and more people waking up to, wait a minute, you mean I'm more than just this package? And I can tap into all possibilities. And I actually have the power to make change in my own life. Mm. I'm I'm not the victim of everything around me. I'm not the effect of all that stuff. I can create myself.
Yeah, that's big.
So at first you're kind of like, well, I don't know. Like it seems foreign, but then, stick with it. And then you'll start getting your own evidence. Like those two cards coming up together. Mm-hmm. I was only choosing one. Those two cards came out together.
Right.
And the two cards totally related to each other.
They certainly did. Yeah.
Now I was shuffling up the deck. You saw me, right?
I believe you. You always do. And so every time it comes out with something pretty wild. So
this is why I'm saying these cards, whatever deck you choose, whatever you're drawn to, you got to find ones that you resonate with. Mm-hmm. There's no coincidence.
I mean, when you were talking about people becoming kind of waking up, I think not everybody, I think a large proportion of the population to some degree or other believes that there's more than just this, than just the physical. But I think there's also been a lot of, religion tends to dominate that sphere. And there's been a lot of resistance that has popped up within the sphere of religion. So a lot of doubt has kind of crept in. But it's the second part and the third part that you talked about, the part where we learn that we have control. We can actually exercise influence. We are connected. We're connected at all times, all that kind of thing. That's the part that's new. That's the part that the religious trainings that we had previously don't necessarily cover.
Yeah, but who really made all that religion and put all those rules and all that stuff in there? Is it exactly how it was interpreted from ancient writings, or was it interpretation of ancient writings and then reinterpreted and then molded to?
No, I'm not coming down on religion. I'm just simply saying that's where the state is. Yeah,
anyone who's waking up to it can see that. I mean, if religion helps a lot of people, see, everybody's helpers, right? And that's helping too. But if it's no longer helping and the questions are coming in, then you gotta have freedom to go ask the questions and look around. Some people won't allow themselves even that freedom because of the fear of what if they did, as if God is going to punish them for asking questions, know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You see that fear a lot. I've seen it a lot in the Facebook groups, people coming in to the law of attraction groups and saying things like, is this going to, does this conflict with the teachings of my particular religion? And they'll name what the religion is, isn't this really in violation of rule X from that religion or something like that? People get very concerned about it because their religions are very important to them. And so it's understandable. They run into stuff that seems to be, kind of rubbing against what they were taught to believe. That's frightening.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a great example is, my mother-in-law, she came here to visit. I might have told you this story already. And she wanted to see a medium because her husband passed a couple of years ago. But she says, I don't know that I should. I said, why not? It's against the church. I said, it is? Okay. Well, how do you feel? Drop into your heart. Do you want to have this potential opportunity to have some kind of something come through from your husband? And does it feel wrong? She's like, no, I really want to do it. I'm like, then allow yourself to do it. And of course she did. I set her up with a medium. But I think she was going to go no matter what, but it's like she kind of needed maybe me to give her some permission to do it, Yeah.
Reassurance. I think a lot of people want reassurance. The moment that we're stepping out, this is talking about stepping out of comfort zones. It's not like a practical real world comfort zone in the sense of, do I go for a new job or a new mate or, whatever it is I'm trying to do there. It's more of a spiritual one. Do I break out of the comfort zone of what my religion has taught me? And, now I have a little bit of fear going on because, oh my God, I'm going outside of what the religion taught me. This is kind of a scary territory. But that's what a comfort zone is. A comfort zone is where we stay within what is usually a rather painful place in order to avoid going out to a place that's scary.
I think you got to ask yourself, if I do this, am I harming anybody? Am I hurting anybody? What's the intention behind it? Oh, well, I really want to connect, whatever that might be. In that case, I really want to connect with my husband. I miss him. Is that a bad thing to do? You know, like you gotta feel it. Like, again, drop into the heart. What would love do? Love would say, connect with your husband. He wants to hear from you. He wants to hear from you. Not you need to hear from him. I mean, it's a two-way street in the body.
Oh, yeah.
Body. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of value in trying things like that.
Well, there's a lot of healing. I mean, I've gone to a lot of mediumship events, and the people feel healed after having a connection.
Yeah. When my father passed, we didn't go through a medium or anything like that, but we had certain experiences that are very similar to what a medium might have told us. But they were more direct experiences. And those direct experiences did more to help validate for me the reality of spirit, of source energy, of the interconnectedness than any book could have done, than hearing other people's stories could have done. And hearing other people's stories is powerful. Don't get me wrong. We tell stories here on the podcast all the time, but having that direct experience, there's nothing that replaces it. It's really quite an amazing thing. And in our case, it was my sister receiving a message from my dad right after he passed and validating for us that he was fine. And I was convinced from the way that the story happened that it really was a message. It wasn't my sister just making something up. It was real. And then I also had another validation of my own a few weeks, almost a month and a half later, where I had a dream that I was interacting with him, and it was very, very real. And you get enough of those things going, and like, wow, okay, yeah, there's something here. I mean, I don't care what logic and reason tell me, there's something here. And that it helps. It helps you a lot. Yeah.
I tell you what, nothing proves it more than my sister when she passed. Because, while she was going through her cancer, I helped her a lot to be able to, connect to a guide, guides and support and spirit, and find something that means a lot to you, that when you see it, okay, I've got, spirits with me, supporting me. So for her, it was a ladybug, and she passed in the fall. I did a video on it. I'm not going to talk about all the things, but she was bombarding. I have a big Italian family, bombarding everybody with ladybugs in October.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. And not only that, it kept going for months, all through the winter. For this winter, I'm getting ladybugs in my bathtub.
Okay.
But the funny thing is, my mom, although all of this is out there, she still, I don't know what it is for her, but she still has this little bit of doubt, so she's been wanting my sister to come in a dream. Now, my sister came to her really vividly in a dream, right? And she woke up and she's like, but I don't know if that was real. This is what she does. Yeah. And then what happened was, a little while later, my sister put this ringtone on her phone. Now, since my sister passed, now and then that phone will ring for no reason. There's nobody on the other side.
Oh, no kidding.
There's no one calling, but the phone will ring. It happened a few times, and it happened at times where it really mattered, where my mom really needed to connect with her.
Nice.
So here she's questioning her dream, right? My mother, is it real? It doesn't matter how many times I tell her it's real, she still has this question. So the thing happens on the phone, right? And she's like, oh, okay, well, maybe it is real. Like, she's still questioning it. Now, I call her up. I wasn't even thinking anything, but that day I had the ladybug in my bathtub. This is the middle of winter. It wasn't alive. It was dead. But still, how did it get in my bathtub? I don't know how it got there. It got there. So I call my mom. Something makes me call her. And how's it going? And she's like, I had a dream, but I wasn't really sure. And then the phone did the thing again. I'm like, and you know what, Mom? I have a ladybug in my bathtub today. Now, how many ways does she need to give you the message that it's real? I mean, my sister will go out of her way to make things happen in a big way. And my mom, she still says, yeah, you think so? You think so?
I think the answer is everybody has a different number. Everybody has a different number of times stuff has to happen, a different number of different ways that stuff has to happen before they finally say, you know what? I think that really is there. That really is happening. Yeah.
Well, there's something I haven't uncovered yet that makes her not able to commit to it being real for her. Whatever that is, we'll get through it at some point.
Oh, sure.
And maybe it's just, I mean, my mom will have a picture move across the dresser, right?
Oh, my goodness.
like not even a little bit, but move across. So she tells me the picture moved again, and it moved like 10 inches. I'm like, okay. She goes, and I went over to and I'm opening and I'm closing the drawer, and I'm opening and closing it, and it's going in the other way and only like a little bit. I'm like, Mom, Joanne did it. She goes, you think so?
That's the standard answer. Do you think so?
Yeah. You think so, really? I'm like, yes, Mom, I know it. Just pretend you believe it, okay? Believe it for me. Yeah.
I want clarification on that. When you said that the picture moved, was she actually observing the picture moving, or was she saying the picture was here and then later on she checked and it was over here?
No, she didn't see it moving.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she just saw that there was a different position.
Then she wouldn't have to bang the drawer, you know? Like,
yeah, right.
Just trying to figure out how it could happen. Like, how many times do I have to open and shut this drawer for it to move that much? You know,
right.
Like she's trying to scientifically figure out how that picture could move.
Exactly. Yeah. So she's still working on it. That's pretty obvious. She's still working on it.
Yeah.
And she's got so much evidence going on, she probably can't let go of it now. So she'll eventually get there.
Yeah. I mean, I did this video. I was like crying in the video because it was not that long after. And I think the title of that video is She May Have Died, But She's Still With Us or something. The evidence that was coming, I did a blog post and I put a lot of pictures. People were sending me pictures every day. And I'm not going to go into it now, but even like okay, I'll tell you one more story. We have time, I think.
Yeah, we got time.
There was, her husband was scammed by one of these PSE&G scams. Where they go and get the cash on the cash card, and he's like distraught, and they're telling him, and his wife and my sister did all the finances, and he knew that she didn't pay a bill, and so he I don't know how it happened, but somehow they targeted him, right? Mm-hmm. So he paid a lot of money before he figured out it was a scam. And then I had this idea to do a GoFundMe with the story, and like so many people. So he got the money back.
Wow.
To his family and friends by me posting this thing. And like, then I pull into a CVS, right? And again, this is like, November now. I get out of the car and I smell cotton candy. I'm like, cotton candy? Or either I was in the car or out of the car, I don't know, but I was going to CVS. I'm like, there's no cotton candy around. I didn't think anything of it, but I thought it was strange. So then I had a few more stops to do, blah, blah, blah. I finally get home. I parked my car and I smelled cotton candy. And I'm like, oh, of course. It was my sister because she knows I love cotton candy. It's kind of like,
I see. Okay.
Whenever she had barbecue, she'd get the cotton candy machine there, right?
Right.
So she was sending me that message, and I think it was a message of, thanks for helping Kevin with this problem, with this whole thing that went on with the GoFundMe and all that, right? Yeah. So then it hits me. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't get it, Joanne. I didn't get it. Of course, cotton candy. So, not always, even though I'm attuned to those things, I didn't even put it together. He had to give it to me in a way that I would get it. Because I know there's no cotton candy machine outside my house, in my driveway, and I have a decent piece of land. There's no cotton candy there.
Well, it's understandable. I mean, it's not like we have a direct association in the English language. Well, cotton candy means that Linda's sister, we don't have that kind of association. You have to draw that one.
Yeah, but I mean, at certain times of the year, you might smell cotton candy because somebody's having barbecue. I mean, I don't know. Who knows? Whatever, right? But it just didn't, I just wasn't there, I guess. And then, So, but the thing is, they'll find a way. If they want to get a message to you, they'll find a way to do it. So I didn't get it like half an hour earlier. She had to do it again. And she had to do it where I could not have thought, because the other place was a built up place. I mean, I could have been like, I don't know, maybe the last person who parked here had cotton candy with the kids. Who knows, right?
Yeah, you could have justified it, right?
There was no way there was going to be cotton candy over here. So I'm like, oh, okay, I get it.
Very good.
So, I mean, how do you chalk that up? How do you scientifically deny that? You can't.
No, and that's the thing that I learned. At some point, you have to kind of give up on trying to be scientific about it, because you're going on stuff that happens to you that is intuitive in some level, or is not something that you can aggregate and count up and measure. And as long as that's the case, you can't apply science to it. So at some point, you have to just kind of give up and say, okay, do I buy that this stuff is happening? If I do, what conclusion do I draw from it?
Right. So it's faith, right?
Ultimately, yeah, it is faith.
Faith,
Yeah.
dropping into your heart and feeling, does this feel right? You know, how does this make me feel?
Mm-hmm.
Does it make me feel good? Does it make me feel bad?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It led to an interesting result. I mentioned that my father had sent us messages right after he passed, and we had a memorial service for him a week after he passed, and we all went down to Lynchburg, Virginia, where my parents lived, to go to the service. And it took place in a church. I think it was a congregational church. And the minister met with us in what they call the upper room. It's kind of like an adjunct room next to the sanctuary. And so we're meeting with him in there. We're chatting, and it's myself, my sister, my brother, my wife, my mom, my niece. We're all just in it. We're just kind of chatting. And after about 10 or 15 minutes of chatting, there's a look on the minister's face, and it's like he's perplexed. It's like he doesn't understand what's going on. And it finally dawned on me. He was there to comfort us in our grief, and we weren't expressing grief.
Yeah.
We were feeling great. I mean, it was a strange thing to be at a memorial service for my dad because we were really feeling very, very good, and he didn't know what to make of it. So literally, he went up to the altar, to the podium to give his talk and sermon and so forth during the memorial service, and his talk was about how amazingly powerful the faith of our family was. And it was a funny thing, actually. I mean, I was trying to stifle laughter because he was doing this in a church environment. Now, of the people who were in that group, the only one who was a churchgoer was my mom, and she's irregular. Yeah. Everybody else there was not a churchgoer. So we weren't traditional faith from the perspective of what his church would have understood faith to mean. And yet he saw this huge amount of faith in us, in right. The way we were expressing ourselves. I thought to myself, I never really thought about that as faith. I just thought of it as certainty. Yeah, but you're right. It is faith.
Yeah. Yeah. Too, because you said you brought that happiness. Because like when my sister passed, I'm like, we're not mourning. We are celebrating her. Mm-hmm. So we did everything was not at all like the way a normal Italian family would do anything.
Right. Right.
And I even had the psychic medium come to the viewing, the wake, and right. Talk about spirit and how you connect with spirit and all that. Wow. Let me tell you, that place, there were a couple hundred people there. They were glued to her words.
Really?
People in the back were like, we couldn't even really hear her too good. They were trying so much to hear. And then we had like a huge party. Mm-hmm. We had music going. We had all kinds of, it was just all fun, and people just told fun stories about her. That's what we did. So it's a total celebration. Now, recently, one of my aunts passed away, almost 90. And you know what? Her wake was not your normal wake. It's like, broke the mold to where, and my cousin is like, we're going to do a celebration. That's good. What we're like. Yeah, let's celebrate life,
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that completely. So, well, this has been fun. This has been good. I want to make sure I get a couple messages in. First of all, thank you to our live streamers who found us on YouTube. Apparently some of my breadcrumbs actually worked and they found their way to us. I want to invite you all, if you're not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure that you subscribe. And if Alex is tuning in and I don't explain it right, you can correct it for me later, Alex. But on YouTube, you want to click that little bell icon on your smartphone, so that way you get notified whenever we put up either a live stream or a recorded video on YouTube. So be sure you do that. And
like, share, comment, hit that bell.
That's right. There you go. And by all means, of course, we want you to subscribe to the podcast. So if you're not yet a subscriber to the podcast, please do that. I'll get links into this video after we're done recording it here, because I forgot to do that earlier. But the easy way is just go to the homepage, loatoday.net, with your phone, and just click the button. It'll walk you right through it.
But Walt, there's two YouTube pages. So it's the LOA Today podcast.
Right, which is where we're live streaming this to.
Okay,
right.
So that's what we want. Okay.
Yeah, so that's, if they subscribe, they'll be subscribing to the right channel.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we've completely moved away from that other channel, so we're good on that.
All right.
Yep. So make sure that you subscribe, make sure that you share, make sure you tell other people about LOA Today, and that's how we get more and more people.
And we love comments.
They're just so happy.
Right. And so no matter who I'm going to say, I got to add Walt.
Go ahead, do it.
Talking to, ask your questions in any one of these podcasts, so that the next host, whoever you want to speak to, put it down in the comments, because we want to hear from you and we want to talk about what you want.
Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, that's one of the reasons we're live streaming to YouTube, to encourage more and more people to become involved in the live streaming. I mean, it's great to do the recording. Obviously, we do a recording in order to do a podcast. That's what a podcast is. But we also like the live streaming because we like that interaction. So we invite you, come to the live streaming, enter your comments, enter your questions. And even if you're coming in and entering them after the live stream is over, like Linda says, we'll introduce it until the next time that we do a live stream. So, right. It won't get lost. We won't miss it. I promise you that.
No, because it's out there on YouTube land now, right?
Absolutely.
So anybody can happen on to any show and ask questions and comments. I mean,
That's right. That's the way it works. So thank you very much for giving us that tutorial again on how energy healing works. Appreciate that very much. And we'll look forward to talking to you next week. Thank you to our live stream listeners. Thank you to our podcast listeners as well. And we will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.